went to HBCUs.
I don't like the fact that I had a cutout on the stream. Apparently, it was a connection problem over on my end. But we going to get it back popping, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
University. And ask them, why do we not have a chart?
Let me move forward to where I was.
This is not rocket science. The problem is the presidents of these HBCUs are not thinking about the future of the HBCU. The president of the HBCU is not thinking about the future of the HBCU. So number one, every HBCU should have a school. Why doesn't your education department have a school?
But let me get back to my point that I was making. When you're trying to compete, the first thing you have to do is identify what your competition is doing. And then you have to separate yourself by figuring out what makes you unique while also capitalizing off of what happens from the competition, right? So, for example, if I'm a school, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to understand exactly what these other schools are doing. What they're doing is that they're starting to market themselves by putting together the right programs that allow for these universities to be able to market to the right kids. So one of the ways in which universities, and I've worked at public universities, I understand it from a UX perspective and I look at it from a business perspective because I have close ties still to people that are high up in certain positions. One of the ways that they do so is that they market themselves to the international community. The international community brings in significant amount of dollars because of they pay more and higher for tuition while not depending on the federal government as far as loans and Pell Grants and things like that in order to be able to, come to the university. B, when you get out of state tuition, you make more money. Everybody knows that there's a difference between in-state versus out-of-state, the tuition costs, and then also international students. Marketing yourself to the best and the brightest from international students is necessary in order for you to be able to be successful. And I am live. Yes, this is live. Shout out to you. This is live. This is the second part because my other live stream got cut off, but we back. The third thing is that you have to start to find programs that people want. What do women want? What do men want? What are the fields in which people are being super successful? STEM fields? Cool. And I was using an example from 30 to 40 years ago, and that the universities continue to change and evolve and market themselves to champion the football programs, champion the sports programs that are drawing in the most visitors, which then gives them more marketing dollars from the TV and the sponsors, and then also makes them more marketable to the general public at large because a lot of people are not even familiar with a lot of these HBCUs unless you live in a certain community or you are in that area in which you raised by them that allows for you to get more visibility and to recruit the type of students for enrollment. The next thing that you have to do, and again, I'm breaking this down from a business perspective to help y'all to understand and look at this thing properly. The next thing that you have to do is then to start going into programs that people want. When I jump on these coaching calls on a regular basis, and the thing that I hear from people is that, I looked at going to this particular school, but they don't allow for me to really be able to be successful because they don't have the programs, nor do they have the structure that allows for me to be able to take these classes online, do a hybrid, go into the campus, and they don't even support this particular industry or this particular field. They don't have enough staff. They're not actually marketing themselves. The school is not big enough. And I don't even see a track record for where these schools were successful as far as the students that went into a lot of these STEM fields and these particular fields that allow for people to be successful as far as what people are looking for from universities in order to be successful. If you want to be great, and I've seen a lot of y'all had posts, hey, this school got a firm, this school got a firm. How many of y'all are actually enrolling in a school because they got a firm? Shout out to Ray Brinson. I appreciate you for the 2-ball. How many of y'all are going into a school because they have a farm? It's at a very basic fundamental level, right? At a very basic fundamental level, business is the same across the board, right? If you want to partner with somebody, then you partner with major corporations that would then allow you to be a feeder school, and then you can market yourself and say, you come through this program, we can then get you an apple. That would make you much more successful. If you come through this program and you market to the parents, not the students. You market to the parents, not the parents are the ones that sell the students. The alumni are the ones that sell the students. You start to market to a lot of these different places, such as these sororities and these fraternities. They're going to be the people that recommend these universities that allow for people to then become more successful. The thing that I see happening in communities so much, which is the dumbest thing that I ever seen, is that they say black-owned business. Now, we know that you are a black-owned business, but when you say that, you separate yourself and you alienate potential customers that can come in and give you business. Cool, you're a black-owned business. Why would you then separate yourself as far as marketing to the general public that would then patronize you and give you more money? Just sell black shit. Nike do it. They sell it and you become a walking billboard for all of the stuff. All of these other companies learn how to market more effectively and subtly so that they can then have you be the billboard for what it is that they're going to start to push out to the general public. You don't see a Chinese business saying I'm Chinese owned and I'm only marketing myself because we in Chinatown and I'm surrounded by majority Chinese people and I sell Chinese food. I'm a Chinese owned business. Or I'm a white owned business. It's the dumbest thing ever. You can be a black owned business, but not alienate the customers, which is the exact same thing that HBCUs do. You're marketing yourself to 13.6% of the population. Why are you marketing yourself? Why aren't you just Jackson State? We know that you're an HBCU, but you need to recruit other people that allows for you to be more successful. Why would an international student, a person that's all the way over in China, come over here to go to a HBCU? You can't even market yourself effectively. So what he's advocating for you to do is market yourself to the lowest of the low. And if we've known anything from a marketing perspective, we understand that black people don't want to necessarily be associated with the lowest of the low. He's saying that, only go into these communities that's the needy and only go to people that's going to need a bunch of Pell Grants and student loans in order to be able to go to your school. That's what he's saying. Translation from my perspective. If we know anything about marketing, is that people want to be attached to the thing that's the most successful. Even if you're looking at a car, the car that they put on display and the car that they put in the press is not the one that they're going to sell the majority of. They're going to sell you a whole lot of Camrys and a whole lot of Accords and a whole lot of Malibus and a whole lot of this and a whole lot of that. They're going to sell you a ton of Volkswagen Passats. But their halo car, the Volkswagen Group owns Porsche, Lamborghini. Talk to me. BMW owns Rolls-Royce. They're marketing you the 7 Series, the Rolls-Royce Ghost, the Phantom. That's the halo car. You want to be the car that everybody aspires to buy. You want to be the university that everybody, listen, here in Michigan, shout out to the MSU people. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. But let's be clear. Michigan is the gold standard. University of Michigan is the gold standard. Most of the people that go to Michigan State wanted to go to Michigan. That is a fact. Shout out to my MSU people, but I just got to be real. You couldn't get in. You couldn't get in. Didn't mean you didn't want to be there. Michigan State get what Michigan can't do because Michigan has marketed themselves both from a sports perspective and every other metric that is measurable in the United States of America by other colleges when compared to other Michigan schools as a top tier school. Academics, alumni, what it is that they do as far as STEM field. I'm just telling you, this is marketing 101. You don't market yourself to the lowest common denominator. You market yourself to the people that actually can't really afford you, which then allows for them to aspire to get to you. And you do that by doing a plethora of different things. Why do you think that when the pandemic opened up, and if you go to any big mall right now, you know what the stores is going to be out the door? It ain't going to be Walmart. It ain't going to be Hanes. It ain't Abercrombie and Fitch. It ain't Foot Locker unless it's on release day, in which they ain't even got nothing no more. You know where they lined up out the door? Where they don't give you a discount. Gucci, Louis, Balenciaga, Saks Fifth, busting down the doors. They busting down the doors. People want the thing that other people want. You know what women go for? They go for the men that other women want. Women is not going for the dude that's readily available saying, hey, can you please pick me? Women are going for the dude that other women either already got or other women want. Whatever that is, however he marketed himself. Do I need to give you a lesson in business 101? Because just because you are a blackity black does not necessarily mean that you understand how to look at things from a business perspective and market yourself more effectively. It's the same across the board. Schools, business, relationships, it's all the same. People all go to the big church. The bunch of little churches and that's readily available that you can actually go up and talk to the pastor, they ain't trying to go there. They want to go to TD Jakes, the Potter's house, and they want to possibly get close to and give all of their money and make a donation in order to have TD Jakes say, look at you. You're a good steward of this church. If you want to market yourself as a university, you have to rethink and completely redo what it is that you do. People trying to figure out why Colorado State gave $30 million to Deion Sanders. All you got to do is look at the recruiting in the portals now. Look at everybody trying to transfer over there. Look at the visibility. Colorado could not have bought better press, more visibility, and a better steward of their football program. And then they told you, they said, we ain't even came up with the money yet that we gonna pay them, but we gonna get it, because they understood that investing in the thing that makes them more marketable is going to be the thing that gives them better return on their money. What you thought that they was giving him $30 million just because they liked him? They giving him $30 million because they looking to get a $300 million return on their investment. That's a fact. But you so busy looking at it in the weeds because you so stuck on blackity black that you can't understand that this is a class and a money game. If you want to help your people, if you want to help your community, you need to look at things from a business perspective. They not worried about you mobilizing. They not worried about your protests. They not worried about your outrage. You know why? Because you ain't got no power. You ain't got no money, and you sure don't understand how to look at things from a business perspective, which makes you nothing. You are nothing but a voice. An ant that could be squashed at any time. Nobody cares. Nobody cares unless you understand how to look at things from a business perspective. You cannot be a university president, and you can't possibly fathom how to run one. He talking about a fucking farm. How many people is going to a HBCU because they...
Come on, HBCUs. If y'all die, Black America dies. If y'all die, Black America dies. So every
Make sure y'all hit a like for the. This is part 2. My other stream got cut off. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications. And also on top of that, make sure you tap into the Patreon. This is real game here.
HBCU needs a school. Number 2, every HBCU needs a farm, a community garden, a large community garden that can provide crops to the entire black community that's closest to the HBCU. You taking care of diet, you taking care of health, you teaching children how to grow, you teaching the community how to grow, and you're raising money. And you're raising money for the HBCU. Most of you were started as agricultural institutions.
And you have to evolve and change or die. Evolve, change, or die.
HBCUs always had an agricultural and technical component. So where is the community farm for the HBCU? The farm and the garden. You should have your own organic chickens.
Shout out to... Shout out to Christopher Williams for the $1 Cash App. Says, definitely inspired by your channel, bro. Thank you, my friend. We cooking over here.
Your own organic turkeys, your own organic cows. You should be raising your own fish.
Nice.
You should have your own vegetables, your own fruit. Come on, HBCUs. This is not rocket science. Come on, HBCUs. This is not rocket science.
Is this your king?
Come on, HBCUs. This is not rocket science. Third thing every HBCU should have. Every HBCU should have a credit union or a bank. Every HBCU should have a credit union or a bank.
Curious. I just so happen to understand banking because I've been in banking for close to 10 years now. Curious to know, guys. Curious to know, guys. What are the requirements for owning a bank? What are the requirements for owning a bank? Curious. How do you think that these endowments are managed? You know, let me get through this so I can get to the Kyrie thing.
And you should have a campaign to have all of the black people in the neighborhood where your school is take their money out of the white bank and put it into the HBCU's credit union or bank. Are y'all following me, brothers and sisters? Brothers, if you with me, give me.
Yo, you know how many people is probably watching us like power to the people, banking, power to the people. Power to the people is the banking thing, yeah. You know how many people is probably rah this? I wish I could. Jesus Christ.
Your fist. Ladies, if you with me, give me a heart. Brothers, if I'm making sense to you, give me a fist. Ladies, if I'm making sense to you, give me a heart. We talk about Black Wall Street. We talking about Black Wall Street.
Oh my God.
Do you know every HBCU is a potential Black Wall Street?
Oh my God.
Do you realize every HBCU is a potential Black Wall Street? Every HBCU should have a bank. And nobody's going to question what you're doing with the money because we can see it. Nobody's going to question what you're doing with the money because we can see it. Nobody's going to question an HBCU but what they're doing with the bank or credit union money because we can see it with our own 2 eyes. Come on, HBCUs. You need a school, you need a farm and garden, and you need a bank. You need a school, you need a farm and garden, and you need a bank.
Yo, you know what the wild thing is about this whole situation? You know what the wild thing is about this situation? Is that when I first came across Dr. Umar Johnson, I thought that he was incredibly intelligent. I said, now this guy is able to debate effectively because I had caught a video, and this was years and probably a decade ago. I had caught a video where he was like doing like some kind of speaking engagement in like a room or a town hall, and somebody had approached him with regard to his thoughts on homosexual activity or something like that, and he was able to like debate it effectively. Am I not like, in hindsight, it's like, yo, can somebody send me that video again so I can look at it, because maybe I missed something. You know what I'm saying? Like, as you get older and you become more mature and you got a lot more insight and you understand things a little bit differently, now you're starting to look at things and question stuff that you thought was dope back in the day. And it's like, what was I thinking?
Come on, HBCUs. See, this hurts my heart because I start thinking about St. Paul's College that we could have had.
Interesting.
This hurts my heart because I start thinking about St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia, that we should have had.
Yeah, I got
This
you.
hurts my heart because I start thinking about St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia,
said it 3
that
times.
we should have had, brothers and sisters.
Three is the lucky
They only
number.
wanted $2 million.
They only wanted
St.
2
Paul's
million.
College wanted $2 million.
Only 2.
And I couldn't raise that. Now, there was a lot of coonery and buffoonery that was involved in that.
What does he have in his hand? We know that you could. You was gonna buy the school, huh? Interesting.
A lot of coons tried to sabotage me because we don't like to see each other win, brothers and sisters on Facebook.
But they didn't want to see
Instagram
you
blocked
win.
me. But brothers and sisters on Facebook, black people don't like to see each other win. And the reason we have a problem seeing each other win is slavery convinced us only one black person can succeed at a time.
Interesting.
Let me say it again.
That's why they didn't want you to
talk
win.
about
I
the
got you.
psychology of slavery. The psychology of slavery convinced us to believe only one slave can make it to freedom at a time. That's what we were taught. The white power structure convinced us to believe that only one African can make it at a time.
That's the white
That's
man
what we
again.
believe.
Okay, cool.
That's what we believe.
So listen, guys.
We have been conditioned to believe.
Okay, all right. I've seen enough. I've seen enough here. Listen, guys. I would like for you guys to make a more informed decision as to how it is that you align yourself with the right type of people, so that you can get the best and brightest information, and you can become great. This ain't it. This ain't it, ladies and gentlemen. We got to do better. Just because you know Black Power and you've read the Torah doesn't necessarily mean you know how to run a major university, or even be able to open up a school for that matter. No pun intended. All right. So shout out to the Koofy, the Goofy, whatever you want to call this. This is insane. All right. So let's get to the meat and potatoes before I got rudely cut off in my last live stream, and I had to do a part 2. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. So Kyrie Irving, right? Kyrie Irving. Shout out to Brian. Or Bran, I'm sorry. Bran says, no, finish the video. This is pure comedy. Man, I can't take no more. I can't do it, Bran. I can't. I'm not built for it. I don't really understand what it is that we doing here with this Umar Johnson thing, but I know that he's going to have a following, and he kind of reminds me of a rapper at this point, but I can't do it. I can't do it, Bran. We got to go. We got to move forward. So Kyrie Irving, right? Let me read this, right? I just want to read this really quickly because I want you to understand exactly what his deal is. Nike has suspended Kyrie Irving's contract as of yesterday. Okay. I want to detail exactly what his contract is. And this is what the sentiment of what Nike said before they canceled. It said, at Nike, we believe there's no place for hate speech, and we condemn any form of anti-Semitism. To that end, we've made the decision to suspend our relationship with Kyrie Irving immediately, and we are no longer launching a Kyrie 8. We're deeply saddened and disappointed by the situation and its impact on everyone. Here's the thing. Here's the sentiment. And this is the big thing that we want to mine out right here. This was his deal. Kyrie Irving's contract was the 7th largest in 2021 amongst basketball players, and he was making $11 million a year, right? $11 million a year. Who would have thunk that tweeting out a movie? I know I ain't never, ever gonna get me an endorsement deal. Shout out to my new sponsors coming next year. Who would have thunk that a tweet with no opinion of it, no stance on it, just a tweet that's telling people to watch a particular movie, he didn't say whether he agreed or disagreed or anything, would cause such an uproar to where now he has a $11 million contract that is no longer a year, $11 million a year contract that is no longer valid. The CKJ3 says the problem is these people have a Booker T. Washington up from slavery mentality, but living in a time with an abundance of opportunity. Everybody should watch the series, The Men Who Built America. That is a phenomenal series. The Men Who Built America. I agree with you 100%. Thank you for the 50 ball and completely supporting the platform, holding me down. Everybody, can I get a round of applause for CKJ3, the CKJ3? I appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to always push and hold it down. And make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Thank you. Kyrie Irving had an $11 million a year contract, and it said his signature shoes are reportedly the most popular among NBA players, second only to the sneakers from Kobe Bryant's line during the 2019 and 20 season. If you go to any NBA game, a couple different things that they wearing. You see the people in the Kobe's. Some of them don't deserve to be wearing the Kobe's, and then you see people in Kyrie's. People love to hoop in Kyrie's. I don't know why. I don't own none. Leslie actually owns a few pair. It was never a thing for me. It says Nike made the announcement regarding Irving a day after he was suspended by the Nets for at least 5 games. And then he lost at least $2 million in salary, right? Now, I don't even want to give my opinion yet. We're just breaking down the facts. So let's continue, ladies and gentlemen, into this.
Nike said on Monday that it has cut ties with Kyrie Irving following backlash over the Brooklyn Nets star posting a link to an anti-Semitic documentary on Twitter. The sportswear giant had already suspended its relationship with the basketball player and canceled its next Irving-branded shoe release. The 7-time All-Star faced heavy criticism after he posted a link to the 2018 documentary film on Twitter in late October and later defended the post. Irving was suspended for 8 games by the Nets after he stopped short of fully disavowing the documentary on 2 occasions.
So, let's revisit this, because I know a lot of y'all are just going to completely forget about it and you're going to say, oh man, that's his problem. Is it? Until it lands on your doorstep? Until something that you type in a chat then comes up at a company meeting and they say, you know what? I don't even know why you were on YouTube in the first place. Until somebody parses through and you like or support something that somebody posted on Facebook or Instagram that doesn't necessarily align with what somebody else thinks makes sense. And I know you never think it could happen to you. They said the same thing about drugs. They said the same thing about the opioid crisis. They said the same thing about relationships. Next thing you know, you dealing with a modern woman that don't necessarily want to submit to you, and you feeling some type of way, and you thought that it was just their problem. It's not your problem. It always is your problem. Because censorship anywhere affects everybody everywhere. And so what you're seeing is that they decided that, you know what, we no longer want to do business with Kyrie, even though it was good for business. And he was one of our best selling shoes and the people loved it. And he only had a player friendly $11 million a year contract. Although you have players that are getting significant bags that can't sell a shoe to save their life.
He has since returned to play for the Nets after he deleted the post and apologized, saying he has been on a, quote, learning journey and was not anti-Semitic.
Not enough. Not
He
enough,
could not
buddy.
be immediately reached for comment on Monday. Adidas also ended its high-profile relationship with Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, in late October after a series of anti-Semitic remarks from the rapper. The Anti-Defamation League said last year saw the largest number of anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. since the racism watchdog began collecting records 40 years ago.
What are anti-Semitic incidents? Just curious. What are these said incidents, Harpo? And how can we prevent them from? Is it online posts? Is it somebody violently doing something to somebody that disagreed with them because they were of a certain culture or background, or they were Jewish-ish? I'm just curious. I'm just curious. What is happening? Because I'd like to see this data and I'd like to look at it. Is anybody can just throw out a number and say anything, but very few people can substantiate what it is that they're saying. What is an quote unquote incident? And how do we substantiate how significant that incident is? If you look at any community and they say, well, listen, such and such creates, in this community, they commit the majority of the crimes. And then you start the deep dive and you look at the context and they say, well, they actually commit the majority of the violent crimes, because anything can be classified as a crime. You speeding and going too fast and doing 35 and a 25 is technically a crime, but it just turns out to be a civil infraction in court. Things happen in communities, right? A murder is much different than petty theft. A domestic dispute is much different than somebody getting into a situation where it turns into a attempted murder, for example. You can't just take things at face value. You have to dig a little bit deeper in order to better understand what's exactly being communicated to you.
White House said it will address rising anti-Semitism in a roundtable event with Jewish leaders on Wednesday.
And so we're going to continue condemning anti-Semitism and hate wherever it exists. It should not have a place in our society. And so you'll continue to hear that. The president says silence is complicity. And so, that is something that we will make sure that we continue to condemn.
Interesting. And there's nothing more powerful than a black woman speaking on behalf of the president that then defunded or lowered the amount of money that they're actually giving you in your HBCUs to come out and then support a narrative that is then taking money out of your pockets. Very, very interesting. Aaron says, what if Kyrie moved on to work with Big Baller Brand or some other independent brand? I know that one of the things that people were throwing around was the idea that he should work with Ye. I don't know what the possibilities are of anybody or Ye even working with Ye at this point. I don't know what's going through Ye's mind, but I don't even know what Kyrie is wearing nowadays during his games, but I'm pretty sure that they're not Nikes. Let's continue.
Now, my play today, guys, is Nike. Shares off slightly today, but really not on this news. The bigger story coming out of the partnership side of its shoe business. Nike announcing today that it has mutually ended its relationship with Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving.
And their stock is down 2.5% as of right now. It's not enough people that's going to care. I went to the game the other day and everybody had on their Dunks and their Jordan 1s and all of this other type of stuff. Because I'm going to just tell you, nobody cares. But let's continue.
This move comes about a month after Irving promoted an anti-Semitic film on Twitter that resulted in an 8-game suspension from play on the court.
So in a month, let me just make sure I'm looking at this right. The stock is actually up close to 15%. 14% at least, which means that It's something that's driving this stock up. And if I had to guess, it's because the cherry red Jordan 11s was out and everybody going to continue to buy them because they continue to sell out. And Nike is making strategic decisions to be able to have that brand equity continue to resonate in your mind that it doesn't matter whether or not they support Kyrie or not. But they made sure that they supported Colin Kaepernick and that his whole agenda, which who knows where he's at right now, they making all of the moves, but they just not being overt about it like Disney was.
But also resulted in a suspension from Nike. Nike suspended him back on November 4th and noted it wouldn't be releasing its latest shoe with the star, the Kyrie 8. So perhaps, Dave, the end of this saga for now, but I also think it gets to a larger story here about what we saw with Kanye and Adidas and sort of these shoe companies that now everyone wants a Jordan, right? Nike obviously has Jordan.
As long as they got Jordan, they good, right? Because we know you going to buy some Jordans.
Adidas wanted their Jordan, and it didn't really work out so well. And Nike has sort of built out this brand where every shoe is attached to a player.
Right.
I'm wondering if we see a shift in that ever. Are they ever going to move away from
a player identification?
So then you don't lose the shoe. I saw a lot of people online today. They like hooping in the Kyries.
Yep.
They're wondering where that design's going.
How does he move the needle, though, has always been my question. Because when you listen to the initial words of Phil Knight, there was no question. He was gone. Right. Phil Knight was ticked off, and he wasn't going to resolve that. But my impression is he doesn't move the needle the way Nike would prefer, and it's not worth the cash.
Cap. Kyrie's shoes was one of the best-selling shoes at Nike, and anybody that's researched the company understands that. I don't know what he's looking at, and I don't know what script he's reading from or if he's done his deep dive into research. One of the things that we do in the Patreon, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. One of the things that I teach people in the Patreon is I ask them a question, and I said, what's your investment strategy? And they say, well, this person did this, and I'm just throwing it into crypto, or I bought some Coca-Cola because Warren Buffett bought it or whatever. And I say, that's not an investment strategy. That's gambling. That's not an investment strategy. That's gambling. If you're not making informed decisions to better understand where it is that you're allocating your resources, that's nothing but gambling, buddy. That's all it is gambling. That's it. Nothing more. And they said, well, Anton, what do you mean? How am I supposed to look at it? And I'm not going to give you the insight and information because you're going to have to be a bag chaser in order to better understand it. But what I will tell you and what I will say is that when we invest in a company, we do a deep dive into understanding every single thing, every analyst call that they've had over the past 3 to 4 years. We understand who's at the top of the company. We want to understand what the middle management, the long-term strategy is, what it is that they competing against, how they're pivoting when it comes to e-commerce and then having their own application. How are they fixing and solving for some of the problems? What's the demand like? How much are they making per shoe? What shoes are selling the most? How are they competing to get the right athletes? What programs are they sponsoring? We understand the debt to income ratio. We're understanding every single aspect about the company. And what I will tell you definitively is that Kyrie's shoes were incredibly popular as far as selling. And one of the reasons why it was popular is because not only was it great to hoop in, but it didn't have a very high price point, such as what a lot of these clout chasers are trying to get, or these hype beasts. It was affordable. And so it was the one shoe that was endorsed by an athlete that allowed for people to be able to go in and buy it for their family or their kids without breaking the bank. And that's why the shoe was so popular. It wasn't expensive to make. They had a lot of different colorways that would add in different themes like SpongeBob and all of this other type of stuff. And that was a very popular shoe to be able to hoop in. I wish I could get on here with some of these analysts. Shout out to, was that GMJJ Bird says it's okay to be anti-Christ with jokes or disrespectful to those who follow Christ or disrespect to those who follow Christ who is Semitic, but it's not okay to be called or so-called to be called anti-Semitic. Anybody could say anything that they want. They can denounce anything that they want. They can say things about God. They can make rap music. They say that they're going to kill, steal, and destroy. But the minute that somebody tweets a movie that may seem a little bit different and upset the masses that you don't agree with, you jump off of a bridge and you start to have this sentiment. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
11 million a year.
11 million a year, but what player does? I just feel like they signed so many deals now with different players. Is it worth only having one player? There's one LeBron in the league right now, right? There's one LeBron.
And LeBron's is not Kyrie's, and I think that Kyrie's was actually doing a little bit better than LeBron's, but I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong about that. I don't know to say so, but I know that LeBron sat. A lot of the new LeBrons always sit, just like the new Jordans always sit. All of the new shoes generally sat. Unless you're doing a throwback or a retro or a LeBron Miami Heat version or, any of this. LeBron Saints, what did he play for? What was the high school that he played for? Whatever. That, they sold, but they sat. And if you looked at StockX, a lot of times you can get them cheaper on StockX than you could when you bought them retail. The Kyries, they moved. And it was the one shoe that they did in volume that not only was it affordable, but you can go in and pick up a pair and they would generally sell out over time. It's just a fact. Anybody that understands shoe culture, anybody that looks at things from a business perspective, and anybody that understands what was going on with that shoe knows that Nike absolutely positively took a hit as a result of it. But how much money is a company willing to lose in order to be able to stand on a certain principle? Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe you just have LeBron and you wait for the next Jordan, you wait for the next LeBron, and you don't attach yourself to so many different players. So then you don't lose the shoe design.
Interesting theory. We're going to have to discuss that further. I think they still love that model.
Just tell me you don't know what you don't know when you don't know it, sir. Interesting theory.
By the way, the Amazon film that he tweeted out, still there. Jassy says, not going away. He's going to keep that on the platform while Kyrie continues to take those blows. All right.
So, the film is not going away. Nobody is calling for Amazon to remove that film. A lot of times, and it's funny because Charleston White spoke about Jeff Bezos, and somebody said, well, Jeff Bezos is not the CEO of the company. He's the largest shareholder of the company. He's the chairman. He still owns the company. He's a board member. This is what I need y'all to do. I genuinely need y'all to do this for me. I need y'all to better understand how to look at things from a business perspective. Everything is not just straightforward, cut and dry, whatever it is that you see on Spiritual Word or the Shade Room. It's not that. It's much deeper, and if you parse through whatever it is that's being posted and you better understand how to look at things from a business perspective, you can not only make more informed decisions, but you can understand why these companies are doing what they're doing and why they're pushing the agendas that they're pushing. Look at the numbers. Everything you do, look at the numbers. The data will inform you. The data will give you the insight and the information as to why it is that certain things is happening. You don't have to guess. You don't have to assume. You don't have to read a report that's unsubstantiated by some nerd bomb that's sitting there behind a computer screen typing something up, and then they push it out to you, and you take it as gospel. You can parse through it and better understand it for yourself. And in order to do that, you need to learn and get yourself under a group of people that actually have your best interests at heart and is going to make sure that you are successful. Make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Shout out to our sponsor, Teach Henley. That 30% off plus a free gift. His link is in the description. Also, make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm on your way out the door. Sorry about the stream getting cut short earlier, but I did want to come back and finish this live stream so that I can make sure that I added value into y'all lives. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for all of the super chats and cash apps and everybody that continues to contribute to the platform. I love you. I appreciate you, but I need you to do me one more favor before we leave the stream today. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be rich by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for rocking out with me. Let's finish the year strong. Let's make informed decisions, and let's not be bamboozled by not looking at the numbers and making informed decisions. I love you. I appreciate you. Share this with a friend. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.